Welcome to Discover Crypto. It's always interesting time when those intros out, but I am Drew with the Blockchain Basement, 1 p.m. show, and things are getting crazy. Now, yes, prices having a little bit of issue right now. Bitcoin losing a key spot, and we're actually looking downhill in terms of where the support is actually going to be. Ethereum doing even worse, but there's some macroeconomic news and war-based news that just broke between the United States and Russia that is literally just hitting the airwaves right now. We're going to take a look at it. Think about some of the context of what this conversation is. Are the riskies going to be landing in our backyard tomorrow, or is this maybe a longer term conflict that will find a resolution with cooler heads prevailing? Now, let's get into it here. Ryan Colley, panic. Everybody, panic. Get your escape vessels ready. Now, we're going to check it out. Now, honestly, the charts aren't looking that bad, but there is admitted downward pressure, as we've acknowledged. We're looking pretty frisky on the charts here. So actually, I'm in the mood to buy spot once again, which is quite rare. So make sure to follow me at Druth Crypto. Later on in the show, actually, I was just talking to some folks on our special show that we do right before this on the Arena, which is Avalanche SocialFi. And just a quick note, anyone that's OG from the Blockchain Basement, if you do find your way to the Arena show with Drew and Malik live, I got a link to where you can find my profile in the Arena in the description. We're actually giving away $25 to, I think, the next 5 people that show up from the basement there. So you guys can go get a view. I think there's like 300 people watching the show on the Arena currently. Huge shout out to everyone out there deep in the trenches with Drew and Malik. Now let's get into the charts. What are we looking like? It kind of feels a little bit top heavy. Okay, that's just the general vibe right now. $110,700. Bitcoin is not doing well. Ethereum doing even worse. Now below $3,900. Very sad. Very sad. Is this the end? I think Ethereum is running into some spots on the chart. Talked about a long time ago. This is what I was actually kind of worried about when we were breaking out of Ethereum. Yeah, we got to nearly $5,000, but where we've come back down to nearly is a trend line of previous highs that were acting as resistance for quite a long time on Ethereum's chart. A little bit smaller so you can see this. Coming up above that downward trend line and then coming back to it to prove it as support makes a lot of structural sense on many graphs that I've seen. So I am watching that, and it's really not too far away from it. We're about, what are we, like $100 away from that. So I am watching to see if there's some buoyancy in this range. Obviously, would love to see that bounce off of these previous highs, but it's being tested right now. It's being tested right now. Bitcoin also on the struggle bus, now below that turbulent zone, which held up for a little bit, right? This turbulent zone held up for a little bit. Not out of the woodwork yet. We just broke below it at $110,800. I know me, myself, I'm snooping around. Where the hell is the bottom to this thing? The dip just keeps on dipping. Well, one thing I'm hopeful to get out of this dippity dip is access and entry points into Avalanche near $20. It'd be absolutely delicious to have my bags padded out on Avalanche at around $20. Put it out there. Maybe I get it, maybe I don't. But you know what? It's going to be okay. Either way, I think things are going to be okay, you guys. CZ, that jerk, yeah. It was a running joke that CZ was like in prison and the markets were doing great, and then you let him out. Wintermute starts, I think Wintermute was still operating and dumping while he was in, but things were good, right? Things were good. Maybe the release, we need to see Solana prove support above $200, maybe, for that release to really stick. Just a thought. Bitcoin dominance coming back. It's really something notable about here is the dominance has only rallied against the broader crypto markets by 3.4% for Bitcoin dominance, right? So really not too big of a pushback up. Yet altcoins, they are feeling the pain with that tiny little move. Look at this. Some of these projects are down 28, 22, 20%, 14%. A lot of blood, but you know what? There is one project that just came out that I'm actually pretty excited to learn a little bit more about. It's got backing from Tether. Got some lore behind it. The daily release of it looks very, very bullish. So I am definitely going to be diving into that chart as well. But you know what? I understand everyone out there. The pain is real in alts, and now McDonald's has got to put this message out. They got a lot of applications today. As a reminder, they do not hire crypto bros. Looks like we're out of luck. We're going to have to hit those charts and hit it on the head to make those juicy gains. And good morning, everyone. I forgot to go through the names here. Wizzle, Pepe, good to see you. Chaotic Crypto, JB, Mads and Lizzie, DeFi Crypto and Airdrops, Twill. Let's see here. Oh, I need to take another sip of this. You're right, Twill. I took a light sip of the drink. I need a heavier sip of the drink. Shout out to you. Oh, yeah. All right. Now, what's all the hubbub about? Why are markets so fearful today? What's going on, man? Well, a little bit. U.S. Secretary of War Pete Hegseth orders a rare urgent meeting of hundreds of generals and admirals, right? And this is released from the Washington Post with very, very little information, but there are things happening in Washington, D.C. You might be able to paint a broader picture with. Trump just received Turkey's Erdogan at the White House. Now, Turkey and Erdogan's relationship with NATO, this is some background for you in our recent context of national wars going on. I don't want to call it a world war yet, right? But Turkey actually pushed back against NATO intention to send heavier artillery and mission essential equipment over to Ukraine a long time ago, right? But then things happened, and you can go look at some of the natural disasters that happened in Turkey right after the pushback to NATO occurred. I'm not going to go into the specifics because last time I did, I got a channel nuke, so I'm not going to be there. Not going to do that, but Turkey essentially backed off, said, okay, NATO, we can send more machinery and we can keep this going. Because Turkey is a part of NATO, right? But they are one of those countries that's kind of on the line. They're kind of on the edge, not just from their geographical location, but also in their alignment with intentions and the general direction that France and Germany are trying to drive NATO towards. So there's a little bit of discourse there. Turkey is kind of on the ropes, right? It might choose one or the other. It's been pretty clear that that's the situation. Now we see Erdogan at the White House today discussing something with Trump. I'm sure that's of high importance regarding the relationship that's going on really in this Russia war. I mean, there's no other easier way to put it. Now, while all this is going on, U.S. deployed 4 F-16 fighter jets, a surveillance aircraft, and 4 tankers to intercept a Russian bomber and a fighter jet that flew into Alaskan Air Defense Identification Zone. North American Aerospace Defense Command says this was today, earlier in the morning. There have been at least 9 of these such instances this year. We've had this before, but now something gets a little bit worse, right? So as this is all going on, Lavrov of Russia, he's a pretty big, not just name, but part of Russian defense and government, came out with some pretty concerning stuff. So NATO and the EU, through the hands of Ukraine, have declared war on Russia and are directly involved with it. This is Lavrov. This is a pretty large accusation, pretty hefty words to be using, especially as you have a Russian aircraft being intercepted up in Alaska, and all of these other things happening in the background. So, it in war, yes, Peter John in the basement, I believe you're in the basement, Chad, but war means reason for money printing, right? It means economic stimulus through the means of infrastructure upgrades, ensuring your populace is employed in one regard or another, either government involved contracts or not. So yes, there is a large degree of economic stimulus that comes with this. Also, the walk back and the outlook that Trump gave voter base of ending wars, it doesn't appear that that is really something that's on the table. It just, from reading what's actually going on, they may say that there's negotiations ongoing and we're very hopeful, yada, 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 but it doesn't seem that there is really any de-escalation in the short term. So with that being said, I wouldn't be surprised to see, and this is why we see these contracts with Palantir, massive AI surveillance system Massive, basically a surveillance state being built out here in the US, but it's really happening across the world. Greater controls rolling out right now. I'm really kind of thinking that the war with Russia does find escalate, unfortunately. Now, what that means in terms of short term price action, you know, it's probably going to end up with a snap crash should we see Article 5 come out and be declared by NATO. We're not there yet, but we are knocking on the door of it, right? We're knocking on the door of these things. So just had to lay that out. Now, the US government, amidst all of this BS, it has announced we're going to have a shutdown, and no one really seems to care. The US government is going to partial shutdown of non essential services next week unless Trump agrees to give Democrats $500 million for NPR and free healthcare for illegal aliens. Senator Schumer says Democrats will block government funding starting October 1st. Wall Street Maverick wants a shutdown, doesn't care. Really, you know, I'm all right with it. What are you talking about? Like non-essential government shutdown? Like it sounds incredible to me. So it doesn't really concern me. In terms of, this government tit for tat shutting down, you better come to an agreement. We need printing and liquidity here and there and all these different systems that we want to get involved with. It's just absolutely asinine to me that we have elected leaders that don't really feel like they're representing the average person on either the right or left at this point. And they're getting to argue about more funding necessary for NPR, for free healthcare. And, when you really look at the healthcare industry in and of itself in America, it feels like a scam as well. Because if you have insurance, then they just charge you what they would have charged you anyways without insurance, and then bill extra to the insurance company because they know that they'll have a better chance of getting that covered as well. It seems like a giant scam to me. Even basic inquiries, basic doctor visits don't get covered at this point. Even what they call private healthcare, the Lamborghini of healthcare, it doesn't cover basic check-ins. It doesn't cover basic necessities and goods. It seems like a scam. They'll basically just increase the cost of the healthcare visit. If they notice, you're already getting scammed by healthcare, we can charge them more. Now, the pain here is real on the market, on the liquidations. Crypto market liquidations topped over $500 million as Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Solana dipped. I believe this is actually much, much more. And we may as well hop on over to CoinGlass to look at where the liquidity is living right now, or the liquidity, as the basement chat has eloquently put it in the past. Let's go full screen so we can get a full view. All right. Now, liquidation heat map. Bam. And yeah, we'll check out Binance. I know that in my heart of hearts, I feel like they spoof some data on Binance. More longs opening up right under where we're at right now. Liquidations at 109.8. Ouch. Not great. The degens are degen. And this is like extreme high levels of open interest, extreme betting, extreme all-inness. And that's where I think some of the deflated feeling in crypto holders is right now, is because we're dealing with a situation that the 4-year cycle at very minimum is slightly different, right? At very minimum, you have to acknowledge that you spend longer at previous all-time highs than you ever have in a 4-year cycle. You got there quicker. You now have ETFs holding. And so I'm questioning basically the degree of downturn that Bitcoin has. 80% is historically what we're used to. I might actually be looking at these ETFs holding up better, but still seeing a degree of sell-off. ETFs and the price movements of it are kind of flows are also looking kind of interesting here. Lopsided winning for Bitcoin, outflows for Ethereum over the last 24 hours here. So this is a September 25th update. 10 Bitcoin ETFs in aggregate had a net flow of 2,186 Bitcoin. Blackrock had inflows, currently holds about 768,000 Bitcoin within the IBIT ETF. That is a whole chunk of Bitcoin. Jeez Louise, that's getting close to this is getting close to Satoshi wallet levels, right? That's wild. Now 9 Ethereum ETFs had a net flow of negative 29,700 Ethereum. So a little bit of interest and shift back into Bitcoin. Over the last 24 hours, nothing that I'm losing my mind about. Really, the thing that I'm being very cognizant about on Ethereum particularly is the money flow. We do have to go look at that. Now we're talking about Ethereum, some of the pains, some of the gripes going on. We had a great run up out of this low, right? We were just at $1,500, pumped by 239%, hit just under $5,000. Now we're looking around asking, is the top in? This we got to look at the money flow for Ethereum on the weekly time frame. This is going to be a larger time frame. I acknowledge that. Let's reload this to get the data here. But I like looking at the weekly money flows just to get the overall vibe of where price is likely to go in the next week or two here. And something that really must be called out is the very small amount of upside we've had so far in this positive money flow impulse. The two previous larger money flow impulses were much bigger and actually new highs. This latest one, very limp wristed. And as things are going right now, the VWAP, I'm watching for this to get down to like 17 to have a lot of confluence that, yeah, this is where we can pop up from here. By then, if the trend continues, this money flow would have likely hit equilibrium. And it is not out of pocket to see money flow come back down to baseline equilibrium and then continue on positive trajectory. But this is very different of a money flow design and general bull market flow than I've ever seen before. On Ethereum, particularly, you had new highs each bull market in terms of money flow. And this one, leaving a lot of blue balls there. And that's where some of the aggravation is in the crypto markets. Me personally, kind of excited to see cheap altcoins that I think are really, really good. Chainlink has a lot coming up for it in November that I'm watching closely, and we'll go over in good detail during this show as well. But I am seeing this downturn and kind of getting a little excited to buy spot again, which is difficult to do. I don't know if anyone knows how often I feel like buying spot. Is rare. Kind of feel like getting it, but I'm watching some takes. We're watching some washout levels for Bitcoin before I really open and back up the truck on those things. We had TJ tag this one solid take from Ansem. Ansem, he's drawn some squiggly lines. Okay, give a green line a 15% probability of where we just find V-shaped recovery in our current scenario, start pumping, run into that turbulence at all-time high, and then cook on up to new highs. Blue line is his 60% probability. And this is where we dip down to around that $92,000 CME gap. We fill the CME gap that remains and then find our pump velocity from that spot, or the red line, which is a 20% probability. And then we crash back down all the way to 75K once again, and obviously fill the CME gap in the process and then find that juice up. I think worst case is somehow we get a recession, would be 50K, 5%. It's I think somehow get a recession is where that's kind of silly because the average person is actively in a recession. They're working contract roles to survive. General market finding a kind of lockup point. It's well beyond a recession, in my opinion. It's actually more of a stagflationary event. Just they're waiting to admit it. But I think crypto, it does have an interesting relationship in what's going on with US, China, and Russia, all the stuff that I covered at the beginning of the show. When we originally saw the conclusion of World War II, then the American world dollar, the dominating dollar across the world, was decided. A place called Bretton Woods, in a meeting, Bretton Woods. And it was a decision to put the world currency in the hands of the main winner of the most recent world conflict, the dominator, right? Now that we are seeing China and Russia seemingly scratching at the door of the dominator through the likes of NATO, it's clear as day. Lavrov making it very, very clear if he's considering this an act of war between Russia and NATO, right? And obviously, who's behind Russia? It's China. China. So this is a similar longer term scenario building up, and it does leave Bitcoin at a very interesting juncture, being a potential new backing agent of the next fiat world reserve currency, be it whichever winner it's going to be. I'm personally thinking that America is going to retain that power. Others say that Russia and China is going to outpace America and overcome its military force. You debate that all the way till the cows come home. But the real thing here is that the item that was chosen, Bretton Woods 1.0, was gold, right? Now we haven't had a gold audit in quite some time. France tried to come get their gold in the 1970s. We pull off the gold standard, piss all over our fiat monetary system, and now we end up with inflation targets year over year that are only 2%, constantly losing value in our dollar. So this is a point in society and history. It's been talked about as the fourth turning, where we could see major change in what we know is backing value. Um, and it does leave Bitcoin at a potential of being chosen as that backing agent. More than likely, in my mind, probably a basket of goods, gold, Bitcoin, and other items to back the next world reserve currency, whatever that may be. And maybe America's talking about the Bitcoin reserve currency now, but then they have to wait till the conclusion of the next world championship to actually usher it in by force. There's some food for thought there. Now, as we are all looking at economic data being kind of wonky on us, U.S. economy grew faster than expected in the second quarter. All right, we're doing great, guys. Bureau of Economic Analysis on Thursday released its third and final estimate of second quarter GDP, which showed the economy grew at an annualized rate of 3.8%. Their expectations were a growth of 3.3% in the April through June period. Figure obviously hotter than as I just mentioned. BEA explained that the GDP increase in the second quarter primarily reflected a decrease of imports, which are a subtraction in the calculation of GDP, and an increase in consumer spending. Punchline here is consumer spending is all happening on credit cards for the vast majority of Americans. Not a great situation. These movements were partly offset by decreases in investments and exports. Okay. So that positive GDP level meant nothing to the markets today. The S&P rolled over, Bitcoin's rolling over. This seems like a complete scam to me. And what I see is a $120 trillion market of real estate locking up. Even more data about this whole home sales analysis. They came out yesterday. We beat expectations. We're 200,000 homes over expectations and starts. Things are looking great. So total existing home sales, SAAR, dipped back to 4 million, hovering near the lowest level since 2020. This graph needs to be focused in on here, right? We're sold one story, and it just seems like the reality is so much different so often. Let's make sure this is big. All right. So this is U.S. new one family house sold total annual, and this is the price, right? The green is the price. The yellow is the pending home sales, and the red is pending home sales. The yellow is total existing home sales. So the sales are going down drastically. The prices are increasing. You have increased raw material goods, right? You have lumber that actually is set up to rally. You have lots of baseline commodities, things that it takes to produce, increasing in value, increasing the cost. You have insurance increasing. You have some agencies of insurance that are basically unwilling to insure people in certain states at this point, citing climate risks, all of those wonderful little climate agenda buzzwords, and highlighting the risks there within. And this data is basically cementing in my mind that stagflation is to follow. If the price increase comes and you have the punchline, something very nefarious that I was warning about, but is now showing to be pretty much the reality here. After months of anticipated Fed rate cuts, Fannie Mae says that rates on mortgages will still be at 5.9% at the end of the year. They're passing the rate cut to the bank, not you and me. That's just 60 basis points below current levels. Why is this the case? Because inflation is rising, deficit spending is out of control, and the Fed cannot control long-term yields. The long-term yields are really the deciding factor when it comes to these mortgage rates, thus making the housing affordability a true crisis. And this is where, you know, people are probably going to flock to affordable location, right? There's probably good upside in flyover states in mortgage. I just do feel that way. They're cheap houses. Their rents are, sometimes $1,200 for a newly renovated place. I see, and I know many people that are considering going and doing that very thing to flock to affordability. And with that, there's going to be upside. There's going to be upside. I know a couple real estate agent buddies that are doing an absolute killing out in Ohio and really weird spots because people just can't afford to live in San Francisco anymore. They take their buying power, they go to a smaller location. Now, what are you guys talking about? Hunter Biden and Lionel in the chat for?
You are banned.
Hold on, that's Dingo Actual. You are getting it. You are getting. I just had to drop a random nuke. And we might get there as a country again. Who knows? So, Robo Vacuum stealing Bitcoin when smart devices attack. Okay. Imagine waking up one morning to find your robot vacuum on the fritz, your refrigerator asking you for ransom money, and your crypto and bank accounts completely drained. No, it's not a Stephen King trashy 1986 horror Maximum Overdrive. About Rogue Comet, obviously that triggers a global outbreak of sentient killer machines. Instead, it's what could happen if hackers decided to infiltrate your PC through one of your home's many smart devices, which is more likely now with an estimated 18.8 billion Internet of Thing devices globally and 820,000 IoT attacks on average every single day. Now, when I think about this, and I have the thumbnail or the placeholder on my computer. It's me paying Terminator to get off my lawn, right? The outlook and the idea of keeping an active browser connected to anything that can get into my cold storage device makes me sick to my stomach. I do implore you to please cold custody crypto and make sure that it's secure. We have a great partner and sponsor, Arculus. You can get a very easy to use cold storage device. Click the link in our description for Arculus and use a code DC20. You get 20% off. You can become your own bank. It's great. You don't have to worry about robots stealing your Bitcoin anytime soon. Please act as if the world wants to steal your Bitcoin. Okay. Oh man, Steven, apparently Kita's taking a hit. Whew. I mean, I'm not ready to unleash the hounds on these projects I've been tracking yet. I mean, shout out to you for seeing that this is the bottom. Things that felt very heavily downwardly pressured, I guess is the right word for like the last few weeks. So I haven't really gotten to that point, but I'm getting close. But also, is this the top? South Park just had an episode on Polymarket and Kalshi. Latest episode, surprising users of prediction markets in the process. Let's look, and I'm not going to play it obviously because I know I'll get demonetized till the kingdom come. But satirical cartoon South Park hasn't been pulling its punches this season, taking aim at everything from Trump administration to its own broadcasters. Last night, conflict of interest episode turned its gaze towards prediction markets, with children of South Park quickly becoming obsessed with the latest fad, which is prediction markets, aka betting. Calling betting a fad is a stretch for sure. Betting is one of the older activities in humankind, so I don't think that it's going to be a fly by the night set up these prediction markets. And quite interesting seeing South Park take interest in covering this. It is, I don't know any young children that are out on Polymarket. I really, really don't. Most of the people that I know that are out on Polymarket, they're talking heads, political pundits, people that feel like they have an edge in a certain aspect of culture that they can bet on, right? But shout out if there are South Park children, and shout out to the creators of South Park for revamping Casa Bonita in Colorado. Casa Bonita has a line out the door all the time. So Aster looks like it's dethroned Hyperliquid with a major surge in open interest. This Aster coming online, Hyperliquid, all of these different decentralized exchange perpetuals coming online, I think have played into that massive, massive uptick in open interest, which has caused us to take a little bit of a beating on Bitcoin price, in my personal opinion. Bitcoin, we are Jump City. What is this? Hold on. Gotta kill that sound. Holy God. We are Dump City right now. Absolute dump city, dump central. Where's Ethereum going? Emergency, emergency, the world's going to war. Where's our support at? Let's see here. Oh my God. right? That's the vibe right now. Because I'm sure, yeah. I mean, I got my Bitcoin. That's not a great sign. But I do like getting cheaper Bitcoin. Getting closer to 100,000 Bitcoin makes me happy. Wake me up when Rectember ends. I had to sing that for you, Flat Smack. Ethereum now at that 3,800 mark. Very, very close to this downward trend line. Can she hold? What do you have, my dear? You have a republic if you can keep it. Right there. We're gonna watch this. This ETH sack. Oh Lord. Bitcoin at 109.7 right now. And I remember I was talking about if we lost this shelf, it just felt like 107 was that next zone where we could hope for some chop. Let's go back in and actually zoom in on this. When dumping, zoom in. Yeah, 1.7. Trying to catch support at the bottom end there. Not looking great. Not looking great. Red weekly dot. Money flow in the green now, swooping to the downside. Haircut city all day long, man. These, when you start to get cooking, holy God, absolutely crazy. Oh, ETH just was up, now almost liquidated. Oh my God. This is chaos. Lend me 10K. Please do not ask for 10K in alts. Please do not ask me for 10K in alts. But you know what? Something cool came out today, and we're gonna cover it. Okay, this is kind of cool. So this is Plasma, and we were talking. We got some Atlas Alpha going on in the Arena stream. That's another reason why you guys are missing out on the Arena and the Avalanche Social Fi. Great community. I mean, how many people are watching the show over there? It's like 170, 200 people over there right now. Huge shout out to you guys. Gets up to like 1,000 viewers. Now, this Plasma project was brought up in the chat. It is very, very new. This came out in the last 24 hours. Came in at $1.75 billion market cap. Backed by Tether. And it's stablecoin infrastructure. It's leaning into this stablecoin super cycle. It sees where the money's flowing, backed by Tether. Very interesting to me. Very interesting to me. So, not obviously the chart doesn't mean much because it's only a day old, but it's really found some fundamentals. Okay, and yes, I charted it out. So I'm going to take a shot at it. If I can get near this trend line, like 70 cents. I mean, it's already trying to pump really hard, but the markets at large are rolling back. And if I can get an entry around this trend line, I'm feeling good. It's a sneaky little one. There you go. And this is the old days of the blockchain baseball. Everyone's losing their mind about everything. We're sitting here digging in the basement for those crypto gems, right? So then we can go brag about them, 9 months later or whatever, when they're going nuts. Everyone's like, oh my God. And they're all covering them just the same. We've done it time and time again. Now AIOZ, AOZ, the stream of AOZ, aims to unlock next level rewards and viewers and creators getting involved. So it's a peer-to-peer protocol, basically to distribute content through DePIN infrastructure for high quality streams and low latency. So new Web3 streaming protocol, yada, 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 AIOZ stream, a centralized protocol that aims to deliver more open and equitable social media ecosystem. It looks like AOZ is taking their shot at this. I'll get involved and I'll see how well it does when it launches, if it launches well. But my money's actually on the Arena to win this. I don't know. I mean, I think I'm on Pump Fun right now as well, and I'm consistently on there. And we got the random, raid from Alex Becker, which is cool. But I actually think that the tokenomics, the incentive for staking the Arena token, the community seems stronger to me. It seems to have a more long-term outlook. I'm actually going to be betting on AVAX over AOZ in this little battle here. Let's see. I want to go back out to the Bitcoin chart. Are we dumping even more? This is for fun. Drew, you got a link or something for the Arena? Yeah, it's in the description. Follow Drew on the Arena or the Arena. Click that link. You can find me on the Arena. Let's see here. Pull up the Bitcoin chart. Pull it up. Deep pain. And we actually just looked at this liquidity level. Now let's see. I'm sure that that's been washed out. Bam. Let's see. So yeah, wash that out. 24 hours looking cleaned up. This is a street sweeper, right? Street sweeper just coming up and sucking up the souls of leveraged longs. Ah, what is going on? What's going on? Dude, I'll just start singing soul and R&B when this goes down. I mean, it's sweeping quite a bit. Like, it just keeps going. This is Binance, of course, and Jesus, good googly moogly. The daily sweep for Bitcoin looks pretty vicious. You'd think it's complete. How much have we lost on the day? Let's see here. So I know we started the day kind of flopping and groping right about here. Market's open, like, ooh, it's gonna be a good day. Only like 2%. So still generally but to scratch on what Bitcoin is capable of pulling back on. Just keeping that in mind. Absolutely brutal. But now, a lot of it, it's hard to say. Is Cardano dead? Right? Like we're asking, I'm an old school believer in proof of stake and decentralization, finding some equilibrium. And Cardano was that place where I was hoping to find that equilibrium at. Right? One of the most decentralized proof of stake products on the market. And the price makes me want to put my head through a wall. So, what is going on here? Let's see here. This seems on the year got price proven to be needed at 70 cents. It's rolling over at 76 cents right now. With the way the general markets are acting, I think, downward pressure surely has 70 cents in the cards to test as support on Cardano. This one, it's losing ground in terms of size of market cap compared to others as well. So now it is, if you take stablecoins out, number 8, the 8th biggest project out there, is getting its heels nipped at by, oh God, another stablecoin, Hyperliquid. Hyperliquid's the next crypto product, excluding stablecoins, that's right behind Cardano. So it's losing some spots. Would like to see the alt of all alts, rise to the occasion and bring BJ to Valhalla. I want to see it, but then I see stuff like this. I'm just new Cardano fundamentals course live on Binance Academy. So I will say the positive, seeing educational content come out about Cardano, but then it's like, okay, so they're like partnering up with the Binance is like, oh man, this is a surprising, exciting headline. Not so much. Through the course delivered through Cardano Academy covers Cardano's origins, Alberto's proof of stake protocol, staking mechanisms, etc., etc. So the guts of Cardano explained in the Binance, but I think people that are on Binance, they kind of already get it. And it is what it is, right? Now I got to talk about a project like, I'm holding the Cardano. It's just, I'm starting to feel like John Travolta in Pulp Fiction. Is anyone here? Where are you at? Tokenized TradFi assets, though, will redefine crypto industry. Chainlink co-founder says to everyone, Sergey Nazarov. Now, yes, you could say it, and there's a large market cap. Consider that only market cap of crypto is at 4 trillion. If traditional finite assets were tokenized and brought on chain, that could boost the market cap tenfold or more, he said. Now, what people fully don't appreciate about TradFi is that its sheer scale, and he's saying this because the sheer scale of what we're trying to plug these private crypto organizations into is very large, and it is very protective of the current control that it has, right? So there are very, very few products on the planet Earth, and there's really only Chainlink that's been accepted to be working alongside the larger version of transfer of value, which is SWIFT, international bank-to-bank transactions, right? And this is a look back at Tom Sizak, I think that's how you say his name, is a CIO of SWIFT, and he was going after XRP holders just because of how the general design. Ripple has been vocal about prioritizing compliance, trust, and interoperability, working hard, yada, yada, on LinkedIn. And then Tom came in. Surviving lawsuits isn't resilience. Neutral shared governance is. Institutions don't want to live on a competitor's rails. And compliance isn't about one company convincing regulators it should be allowed to operate. It's about an entire industry agreeing on shared standards that no single balance sheet could. Kind of taken some jabs at the centralized control design that XRP has, right? And it is what it is. It's something that we've brought up as a point of concern long term, and maybe people get quite aggravated, right? Sack Nasty, go down to the description. It says follow on the arena. That's where you'll find it. Now, the Tom feeling comfortable enough, he's part of Swift. For him to feel comfortable enough saying this was quite shocking about, a few weeks back. But then we had Tom and Sergey talking together at the Chainlink Forum in New York City, where they discussed the importance of interoperability in capital markets. This is a larger video you can find here on Chainlink, and they did recently post this morning. But seeing these two organizations being basically public about their professional relationship with each other, hopefully not personal relationship, it does leave me feeling more comfortable with Chainlink as one of the diamond hand holds over really any other altcoin. Obviously, Bitcoin is number one, but Chainlink is quickly becoming that number two most systemically important crypto project, in my opinion, out there on the market. I see these things happening. Does it worry me with the market pullback to $20 Chainlink? No. I love actually being excited to buy more Chainlink. It takes a lot to do that for me. And we should have known. I mean, the companies that oversee the literal stock market, ICE markets, announced it's an intercontinental exchange, ICE markets. They're collaborating with Chainlink, now moving to bring those derived forex and precious metals and the data of it on chain. The connections of these companies is going to matter just as much as the tech, if not more, right? Like, I think reading through the tea leaves on who's currently in place at Swift, what they're currently open to talk about in public, what they're actually planning to do, integrate, I think acknowledging those realities is going to matter quite a bit, because now we're going to be left with thousands of good layer one projects that are all jockeying and trying to position themselves and raise their hand to be chosen by the system as it is. And there will be a few winners and a lot of losers in that. And this is why Chainlink has so much data behind it. Even more, Caliber, a wealth development company, adding to its Chainlink treasury as well. This is on top of Chainlink, the company, adding to the treasury, but it does look like Caliber has added, now holds nearly 500,000 Link tokens worth $10 million, equity funded and aligned with Chainlink Reserve. It's nice to see. It's nice to see some juice of that. I'm sure Chainlink is crashing. Let's actually go look at the charts again. Bitcoin continuing the free fall, and altcoins are going to zero. Let's go here. Let's see here. Oh, there's Sack Nasty in the Discord. Let's see here. Let's see here. Oh, he's getting. I'll just send him the direct link. Sack, I'm going to send you the direct link right here because I care about my peeps. And Sack Nasty, even though I ban him like most of the time when I see him, today I'm not going to ban him, right? Today you get a direct link. All right. Let's keep moving through all these charts here. Let's actually look at the landscape, the wider landscape as well. That'll be a good kind of heat map of where the most pain is being felt in different sectors. So, oh boy, Avalanche with the biggest pullback, $29. Let's get whatever the hell that is out of the way. All right. And you know what? This is where I'm excited because I'm about to be getting started with breakout prop. And, we have certain parameters that we have to abide by when using breakout prop to trade with, or I can't use more than like 5x leverage. I can't have more than a 4% pullback. I think the velocity on the, once we find that proven support level is going to be pretty good. If you want to get in on that, what I'm doing is taking a test, make it through the test, get access for $1,000. I get access to a $100,000 trading account. Then I'm abiding by their parameters. I can obviously take profits within that day, that trading day, which is something that's quite rare for these prop firms to be doing. Pay $1,000, pass the test, and then I get access to a $100,000 trading account, only up to 5x leverage. You have to abide by the parameters though, because you can't lose more than 4% of the portfolio. So you have to be taking good bets. And it teaches, I've had a lot of people ask me how to start trading, how to get started on it. Obviously, my people that are already trading on L Bank and Blowfin, you guys usually get the vibe. But if the last pullback has really kind of reset everything and you need to kind of learn how to catch a ground ball, like they say in baseball, breakout prop is a really cool option for that. You use code DISCO, all capitals, code DISCO. It's hard to get discount codes for this, but we got one. Get in there, and you can go down to like $60 to get access to a $5,000 trading account, all the way on up to a $100,000 trading account that you need to test and pass that $999 trading analysis, basically. But this pullback is actually kind of getting me. Look at that red shining on my face. Avalanche with the deepest of pullbacks here. Winners, Leo. That's how you know you're in trouble with Leo winning. Pretty much everything across the board in altcoins is getting slapped down. Now it's about where they get reset at. BNB holding up very, very strongly near $1,000. XRP falling a little bit far from that $3 normalcy bias that they need. XR people start acting really, really weird in the streets. If they fall below, about $2.50, if they look like they're on their way back to $2, all hell will break loose. We got to look at the rest of the markets here as well. I know that project that we had covered, it is currently the top gainer, 23%. But like I said, it literally just came out. The fact that it came out and then immediately registered as number 55 in terms of size of market cap, it came out hot and heavy and swinging for the fences here. Bitcoin, where we rolled down to 109.1 just now, all coins down as hell. And this is, I mean, it depends on how you approach the market. Like, people will get mad because they didn't buy, a coin that pumped. And situations like this where we're starting to roll into a bunch of different reasons for the market to kind of flush back down, the S&P sitting at all-time highs, a lot of things that are needing a slight correction. You get crypto at the price you deserve, right? So if you don't have the ability to wait for lows or, at least decent test points on price action to get that position, I mean, it is what it is, right? You got to fight the FOMO. Veins popping, eyes twitching, fire sale. Shout out to it looks like DOD. Bitcoin weak AF since 2021. Let's actually look at that. Because when in doubt, when in extreme fear and doubt, must zoom out very far, right? That's the old adage. Go to the weekly. Why not? So honestly, definitely still a bull market in my opinion. I might as well, these are obvious expectation for price, so I guess I'll leave the CME gap there in the red. This is where we're at right now. I don't really need to leave that here. So since 2021, this is something worth talking about. So the drawdown that Bitcoin experienced from that last high was about 76%, right? And this is the last 4-year cycle peak to new 4-year cycle low. Now let's look at the cycle before that. And the drawdown really can be measured all the way down to here at an 81% drawdown. Heavier by about 6%, right? But it was a smaller market cap. It was less proven. It was less here to stay. Then you go all the way back to the cycle beforehand and you go to that cycle peak to low. That was again a drawdown of 86% this time, so 5% stronger. So we've had basically a consistent diminishment of downside on the 4-year cycle drawdowns of Bitcoin cycle over cycle. Now, with that data and the new data of ETFs being active and American Wall Street having ETF access to Bitcoin, in my opinion, this is why this has been a much different feeling market. Instead of having this moment where you reaccomplish previous highs, as we did in the 2020, 2021 timeframe, we spent very little time struggling and fighting for our right to party at those previous highs. This market, we spent an immense amount of time. We spent essentially right around 238 days, right? More than 2/3 of a year, writhing in pain at this previous all-time high, waiting for that blow off top. This movement in and of itself shook people out. Then we have the it was a teleportation up to this new zone at about $100,000. We peaked at 108. But trade war, massive flush out, longs liquidated, wash out all the way down to $75,000, reset the market. And since then, we've rallied by 60%. But this time frame, if this 4-year cycle would to play out, the time to sell on a historic metric would be right around November of this year, coming up pretty quickly, right? Coming up pretty quickly. This is why people feel out of time, right? People feel out of time. I've talked with people that worked at Blackrock in the past, with a lot of fund managers, on how this ETF is really going to interact with the 4-year cycle, because I think the 4-year cycle is based in mathematics and just general Bitcoin design of the scarcity being doubled every 4 years. So it has a general financial principle there. But now you have the introduction of ETFs in the play, a little bit longer holders and different holding patterns, because they're not your traditional crypto, enthusiast. This is where the mass amount of time that we spent in this accumulation range, the massive washout here, plus another huge accumulation range here, and now our current zone that we've been in, we are basically building more concise staircases, and I'm still targeting Q1 of 2026 to jeet my altcoin. I'm not in the position where I'm selling right now. Where I'm at is I have good spot bags I'm happy with, and I'm in a bull market, so I want to be careful about shorting this market for the time being, for sure. I'm looking for confluence of price support, and the more recent, the area I have to look at is $107,000 Bitcoin, right? I have to look at $107,000 Bitcoin being that proving ground. Ethereum finding support. Hopefully our situation is that we bounce off of this downward trend line from the previous highs. And I've drew it out the same way. It's pretty normal for you to break above, come back down, prove support, and then be able to move from there. And it's probably not even going to be as pretty as that. So where I'm at is I would love to see this prove out as a bounce point. Alts really start to gain that momentum. But be careful on those alt positions, because Bitcoin dominance is fighting back. This is where we must be based, where we must be patient. There will be a time to brag, right? There will be a time to brag, but being conscious is very, very important. I'm making you laugh. I'm glad. I don't know how, VZ Fat Cat. I'm glad I can make you laugh today. Let's go look at Kita. I feel like I'm built for these times, right? We're like, we're on the verge of world war, and all my net worth is in internet funny money. And I'm like, this is my place. This is my place to be. Let's go. Let's go. Kita getting curb stomped. Jeez Louise. Only good googly moogly. Oh my God. Oh my God. This is crazy. Now, 55. What is it? 55, 65. It just keeps going lower. Oh my Lord. Oh my Lord. Was there any news to, right? Because I remember I'm consistently on shows, I'm asked to bring this up, and I'm bringing it up, and I'm like, where's the Visa lore? Why did the Visa lore go away? And all that stuff. What have they been? They haven't been posted at all today. Let's see here. Space. I don't know. This looks kind of wonky to me. That looks kind of wonky. Ah, God. The market that keeps falling back. It almost like, one man's hell is another man's pleasure in these types of situations. Let's see here. Market maker's going to drop this market like a bad habit and then pump it back to the north side while everyone's liquidating. I mean, that's basically what's going on, right? That's basically what's going on. What is Jesus? On the monthly, this feels like, on the monthly, this looks terrible. Weekly, okay. He does the fastest chain to run off with your money. All right. So there's a utility for him. God. Oh, God. Do I have to go look at Arkham, David? Oh. I was asking, why am I able to use Arkham without the token? Okay. So, and we just lost $109,000 support. Look at that. You know, well, we can have nice things in the terms of cheaper crypto price, right? Hey, that's how you spin it. That's how you make the lemonade, right? This is where this is initial fear, finding support, continue cooking to the moon, right? For Bitcoin, right? A lot of these alts are going to basically die after this market. That is what it is, right? It is what it is. Round trip time. Arkham is at 50 cents. That's wild. That is absolutely crazy. Let's see where the story IP, it was cooking to the upside and now it's down on the week even. OG Aster. Is this our entry point on Aster that we've always dreamed of? Is this? I think crime season will continue. Crime season should continue. So it's probably $1.50. You know, I could try out a Aster at about $1.50. We want to talk about Pengu? This is where we go. You may say you don't want to talk about Pengu, but I want to talk about Pengu. You know, I lost the money with you, baby. We're all in this together. Obviously, the spot bags, you know, I just pat out the spot bags when you have days of pain. Pengu losing that cup handle. God, is this the top? Is this the top? BNB, show me we're not at the top. CZ, it's like we need him out for things like this and Aster, but then we need him in so Solana can stop dumping and Wintermute stops, right? Oh man. All right. So BNB, head and shouldery. Let's see actually where the expected target on this is. Head and shoulders immediately. Noticed on that one. All right, here we go. I wish I had like a better control. It's over. Tell your kids no Christmas. The point is, kids are having Christmas regardless. Kids are having Christmas regardless, right? Let's see. So saw that head and shoulders. I think this will probably be more visible on the 5-minute or something like that. Maybe more zoomed in time frame. Go to 30-minute. There she blows. There she blows with like this extra chromosomed right shoulder. Let's see here. Let's see here. All right. Measure 875. 875. Okay. All right. 875 of this plays out. All right. And it's already played out a good degree of this. We're going to see bid attempts though. Taobot. What is Taobot? What is Taobot? That sounds pretty obscure there. Official RIP for AI 16Z. Don't say it's so. Oh my Lord. Dude, these McDonald applications are going to go insane. All right. I feel like I'm just driving through a war zone after all the crazy shit just happened. All right. Yeah, that's crazy. I'm just like bouncing around in a Jeep that fell from a cargo plane and I put together in an hour. Let's see here. Sold Metal from Morpho. AI 16Z down 33%. I mean, many alts are down, but I mean, the all time is really telling the tale of lack of juice here. And this is where like dead chains are going to be veiled by a few whales sending transactions from one spot to the next. So we got to be really careful over the course of the next 6 months. We're obviously watching to see if Ethereum has the juice to bounce off of this recent spot. Link just broke under $20. I'm gonna crash out. No, I'm not. My average buy on Link's $390. Right? It's gonna take quite a bit to shake me out of Chainlink. 108.7 is where Bitcoin is at right now. So that's not great. I think Ethereum is probably coming down to that trend line as we speak. Let's see here. Crypto market might take a hit with a government shutdown. Lol. Yeah, sure it will. Welcome to hell. Oh.
Welcome to hell. Right?
It is. That's the move right there. Yeah, man, that's what my job as a crypto influencer should be, just pushing as much fear as possible so then we finally reverse. Maybe I do that reverse psychology, do that double knife hand reverse psychology. Going down 107.6, it feels that way. Boogaloo. Boogaloo bomb, but light this candle, right? You know the vibe. Hey, shout out to Gavin back on X. Shout out to Gavin, finally back on X. Bitcoin, whoo. Deep sadness, deep loss. Liquidation levels for Bitcoin, real quick for you here. I know things are moving quickly. I know we're a little over, but you guys are my peeps. Got to, we're in this together, right? We're in this together. Oh, God, the degens just won't stop. 107.6 right there. Gee, now, could give us like a fake dead cat bounce. Dead cat bounce up to 109.8, then down to 107.5. Jeez, good googly moogly. The horror. But I take these times generally, like I don't see the Bitcoin chart when I'm back out on the weekly as not a bull market. I don't see the outlook of government printing to fund not only stopping bank collapsing, but world war means that market upside is over either. It's a time where we must be very cognizant of the alts. Bitcoin's easy. Alts, that is Thunderdome. Alts is where you will find Thunderdome. So just be careful out there. Love, appreciate every single one of you out there in the chat, in the show today. Huge support showing out here. We had, we got about 4,150 people watching as this recording is going live out to you. I love and appreciate you guys. Stay focused, stay based. Remember that we're in here trying to make upside to take care of our family. Now, if everything goes to hell in a handbasket, your crypto numbers are probably going to be the least of your concerns. So figure out how to be that post-apocalyptic gigatrad dad that your wife deserves and that you need to be. I love and appreciate you guys, and I will see you on the next.
We just wanted to take a quick second to shout out our sponsor, Arculus. They are a cold storage hardware wallet, helps you secure all of your digital assets for the future. Just tap this thing to the back of your phone and boom, you're in. We wouldn't be able to do this without them, but also wouldn't be able to do this without you guys, the Disco fam. You've supported us a lot over the years. If you want to support the channel now, just use the code DC20. It gets you 20% off this card. It's the #1 way you can support this channel going forward. Thank you for your support. We'll see you at the top.